What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. This is the WWE NXT TakeOver Chicago post-show where we're going to be recapping what just transpired on the show and giving our thoughts on everything that happened throughout the whole card. But before we get started, let me introduce you to the panel who's going to be talking tonight. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me on the call is Stephen Wego.
Yes, I am.
And Callum Wiggins.
Tonight, where the British took over TakeOver.
In more ways than one, because now they're also taking over the post-show. It's 2-on-1.
Yeah, we have a majority now. It's great.
It's a little bit disconcerting. I think I might have to start another war.
We could just leave and you'll be on your own. Brexit your ass.
Well, the good thing is I don't like tea, so I'm not going to bitch about that. History
All right,
jokes. We're having a history edition of the NXT TakeOver Chicago show. Well, let's dig into this with the pre-show, which was utterly pointless. So let's move on. Yep.
Woo!
Yeah.
Nothing at all the pre-show whatsoever. They never do anything for the NXT pre-shows. It's just Charlie Caruso, Nigel McGuinness going like, hey, did you see these matches yet? Nope. Here you go. Here's a breakdown. And then Ember Moon going, I could be out for 6 months. And then going, sucks, dude. And then moving on. That's it. That's the entire pre-show.
To be fair, nobody gives a fuck if we review the normal pre-shows anyway.
Not too much. It's very rarely something important happens there. But still part of the show. Still technically kind of counts.
Nah.
Or no. Either one.
No, I disagree.
Well, the first actual match of the show was Roderick Strong against Eric Young. And I thought that this started off pretty well with a nice little energetic bang. He takes out Alexander Wolf and Killian Dane just to kind of even the odds a little bit. And I think it was Peyton in our chat had said, yeah, it started off great. Then it kind of went into a little bit of a slump. Kind of picked up towards the end, though. I ended up overall thinking it wasn't too bad of a match. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I'm a big hater on Eric Young. I've never liked a single thing that he's ever done other than that time that he shaved his head bald. Generally speaking, I was just had low expectations and they blew it out of the water. I thought the match ended up being a really good opener. Kind of did have a slump in the middle, but I guess it was necessary to bring the crowd up at the end.
John, what you got going on with this?
I thought it was the match built quite well towards making Roderick Strong look like a really good babyface, putting so many obstacles in front of him with the two Sanity members on the outside. I think they're trying to do something with him to make him one of the top babyfaces in NXT at the moment, and because he's kind of bland on his own, this was a good way of making him a bit more favourable in the eyes of the audience.
Back when Nakamura was champion, I was thinking to myself, Roode's going to win that belt, and Roderick Strong's going to win it from Roode. Seems like we're heading a little bit more and more towards that trajectory. Of course, now we got Cassius Ohno, and we got Drew McIntyre, and Aleister Black, and might not be as much of a guarantee anymore, but they're trying, at the very least. It's like, Family Man, that's your gimmick now, and
Well, he doesn't need to take the belt. He could just be a couple months opponent for Bobby Roode. The issue is when do you bring Bobby Roode up? Because he's kind of old, isn't he? He's like 38, 39.
I don't know. He's somewhere in his.
I know he's closing
30s,
in on.
I think, right?
I know he's closing in on 40, and you got to believe, like, these TNA guys that have been around for a while, they don't have too much time left. Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Bobby Roode, they all need to be on that main roster now.
Bobby Roode turned 40 on May 11th.
Oh, damn. So, yeah, he's 40. Fuck.
He's one of those types of people that you can bring him up, like, tomorrow, and it's not going to feel weird, you know?
You could have bought him up 2 years ago, and it wouldn't have felt weird.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I still think Strong needs a bit more development. He still comes across as a bit bland, a bit cookie cutter character. He just he doesn't have that special it factor which could make him a legitimate potential champion.
But I think that's okay for NXT. I think those guys that are at that level need to be moved up to the main roster, and that gives these, well, let's all be honest, Roderick Strong fits that vanilla midget category pretty well. Give him some time with the belt to groom and become a champion. Sometimes that's the best way to do it.
I wouldn't be too opposed to him having a transitional reign.
Mm-hmm.
You figure maybe somebody like a Drew McIntyre turns heel in the process, and maybe he gets like.
Well, that's where McIntyre excels. He excels as a heel, so that'd be a great way for him to get the title off Roderick Strong, cheat, win the belt, and set up that feud for a couple months.
Yep, I could see that happening. And the next event that we're going to have is Brooklyn, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Brooklyn and the one before Survivor Series, which I think is like Houston or something. That's the type of stuff that like we should be watching out for around there. Because if we start getting a build more towards Strong, and if we start seeing McIntyre, who seems kind of like a dick lately, but not really a heel, he's just sort of there. If we start heading in that way, we could see. Then again, there's also Andrade Almas, and he seems to be getting a little bit of a push. But he could just be Roderick Strong's first feud or something like that. I don't know.
Who should go away?
Who?
Almas.
You think so?
I quite like him. I quite like Almas. I think he hasn't had a lot. He hasn't had enough time to really excel in a major feud at the moment because he's kind of slotted into that Tyler Breeze role of you're the guy who our new stars beat in their first match.
How would you rank him on a score from Uno to Cien?
God, my Spanish is going to fail me here.
I don't know. That's why I didn't make it a joke where I actually had to say any other Spanish. I know how to say my family eats in a window, if that counts.
I wouldn't discount Eric Young as a potential champion going forward either, because I think he played his role in the match well.
Yeah, dropping out. That's what he needs to do forever.
You're talking about the first ever global champion here.
Hey, don't mock Eric Young. He was part of that main event mafia for a while.
That company's so stupid.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so this is actually a pretty decent match overall. I mean, there was that little slump in the middle, but it is just the opener, and it's not like the marquee match of the night or anything like that, which we had a couple other matches that were far better than this one, so you kind of can't really bitch and complain about like a curtain jerker match being not the best out of all the bunch, but still pretty decent overall. I didn't dislike any of the matches on this card, actually. The worst match of the night was the Women's Championship one as far as I was concerned, but we'll get to that in a few minutes or so. But we had to go on the upswing here with Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne for the United Kingdom Championship, and we were all making fun of both Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. And then they started kicking ass.
Not all of you. You guys were.
Yeah.
I was defending them.
Yeah, you were throwing in a little bit here and there.
No, not really.
You're talking about how ugly Pete Dunne is.
No, I didn't.
Well, he's ugly.
You gotta admit he's ugly. Come on.
Oh, he is ugly, but I actually said he's better looking than Ruby Riot.
Yeah. Well,
See, I defended him.
That's not much of a defense. That's like saying, would you rather get punched in the face or punched in the balls? The face. Still don't want to get punched, you know? We should have
still pick
like
the better too.
The opposite of the Sexiest Superstars tournament sometime. Not this year, since we're just about wrapping it up, but just have like one vote or something like that, where it's like, who is the flat out ugliest of the men and the women? I don't think I'd put Pete Dunne as the ugliest, but Jesus, that dude just... It's like his face is angry with the rest of him.
It's a good thing.
When I see him do those sit down interviews, he looks like he's about like 19, and he's like just really scrawny. I think it's because his neck is quite small.
Who, Pete Dunne or Tyler Bate?
Pete Dunne.
How old is he? Because I know Bate's 20.
I think Dunne's in his mid-20s.
I kind of feel like they would have said it, but I totally forget it. Now I gotta look it up.
23.
It turns out that he was 40 on May 11th.
Still 23.
Yeah. He's see, this is my thing with the UK situation. I don't really love the idea of the UK championship to begin with. Excuse me.
And it's not meant to. It's not meant for you.
I mean, just in general, like trying to create another little section, because I kind of thought like they'd be spreading themselves a little bit too thin, and I'd rather just like like I like a guy like Mark Andrews. I like him. But I kind of wanted him to just sort of go into 205 Live instead of trying to just only wrestle those types of people and stuff. And they've really dropped the ball with this. Like, they've shown 4 people over the course of, like, a couple of NXT episodes, and that's about it. So I went into this expecting Tyler Bate to retain, because I figured, why would they change the champion before they even have a show? And we end up getting a new champion. But Pete Dunne was the guy that I thought, no matter what, was going to be the next champion somewhere down the line. I guess they just figured they'd pull the trigger now. But
well, they had to remind everyone who these guys were.
Yeah. Interesting pick that they had Jim Ross come out to do this past show and then this match. Wonder if they're going to, like, keep him going forward.
Well, I got a theory on that. I don't know if you know, but Jim Ross was in negotiations to sign on for the World of Sport channel at the ITV UK wrestling promotion.
Huh.
Yeah, he did the pilot episode for that.
So I think they were snatching him up deliberately so that they can bring him on.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So I guess they're thinking about making Jim Ross the UK voice, along with Nigel McGuinness. Because from what I understand, they still want to continue with this UK project. I just think they were a little too optimistic how soon they'd have it off the ground.
A little too trigger happy. They were just sort of like, let's get this out of the way, let's do the tournament, and then, fuck, we can't really get that ball rolling for another couple of months.
I mean, it makes plenty of sense. We've seen this plenty of times. You can even go back to the fucking Invasion. They couldn't just wait till they had all the contracts. They had to do it now. Let's cash in on it now. Couldn't wait till they had a plan for the draft. No, we're going to fucking do it now.
Yeah, the Superstar Shakeup, which just happened recently. Yeah. Bray Wyatt. It's like, what do we do with Bray Wyatt? Let's move him to Raw. And what about the SmackDown title? SmackDown title's defended on the Raw pay-per-view.
It doesn't help with the fact that WWE only tours the UK twice a year as well. So picking the right time and place to actually film any of these special UK episodes just doesn't seem to fit into their calendar at the moment.
Well, the one good thing is that if this match was meant to reintroduce people that might not have been familiar because they didn't check out the tournament or they don't watch the regular NXT episodes, this is a hell of a match. So if that's going to be a representation of like, hey, we have these guys, they're going to get their own show soon, you might want to check them out. People are going to be like, wow, damn, okay, maybe I will check them out. If it would have been a stinker of a match, that would have really hurt it, I think.
You know what? This was an amazing match, but I still think that first one was the better of the two. And that was a really good fucking match.
The Strong and Young? Or you mean the Bate Dunne from the tournament?
Yeah, the first Bate Dunne match, I think that was better. Told more of a story.
I think they were both probably two of the better matches that I've seen in the past few months.
I'll put it this way, like the first match they had seemed like a British wrestling style. This one seemed very much modern American.
I think it was a nice blend of the two, really. I think it was enough of a British wrestling style to differentiate themselves from other performers on the show, but enough of a WWE style that the crowd wouldn't get too bored or too confused about the technical side of things.
The past minute I've just had in my head, you said modern American, and I'm just thinking, I am a modern American.
Oh, well, I'll stick something else in your head. Oh, oh.
I've got one of those Oreo big crunch bar things. So now the whole rest of the night, if I eat any piece of that, I'm going to be like, Oreo.
I don't know why the Otunga theme sticks in my head worse than any other fucking one.
Well, the worst part is that I immediately go to Drew's fucking outro, then it goes, well, you got that family. It's like totally not the lyrics, but it's ruined forever. Like the Samoa Joe one. I cannot hear his theme without thinking that. And I've passed it on to other people, and they're like, shit, those lyrics work. It's like, it does. He's got a big, fat ass. So yeah, Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne, hell of a match. This was a really good showing for both guys. I think they both ended up looking Roderick strong at the end. And I'm fine with Pete Dunne being the champion. They seem like they've really kind of given him like their blessing, because Triple H like specifically always fucking talks about Pete Dunne. It's like, why didn't you just give him the belt to begin with, kind of? But
well, it makes sense that Tyler Bate won it the first time around, because it told a story. It was that whole underdog winning it, and Pete Dunne was a nasty prick.
I'm starting to think now, though. We had a babyface win the Cruiserweight Classic. We had a the first time around we had Balor and Joe won the Dusty Rhodes, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Authors of Pain won the second one, so that's a little bit off kilter there. But then Tyler Bate wins the United Kingdom one. Mostly babyfaces winning these tournaments. Now I'm kind of thinking maybe Heel's going to win the women's one.
Well, depends what the woman's getting. Is she getting an NXT title shot or something?
Nothing that I've heard of. They haven't even officially announced anybody that's in the tournament yet. It's just supposed to happen in like late July and August. So
I was gonna say maybe a bit of a stretch to say that TJ Perkins winning the Cruiserweight was a babyface winning it, considering everyone hated him and wanted any of the other three people to win instead of him.
Everyone was just butthurt because they didn't get fucking Kota Ibushi to win. It's like, motherfucker, he didn't sign a contract. Stop your whining.
Yeah, and he hasn't been seen more than like a handful of times ever since then. And it's mostly been just hanging backstage with Hideo Itami.
So clearly WWE made the right choice.
Yeah. And same thing for, what's his face? The other dude, the British guy.
Zack Sabre Jr.?
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah, he went and fucked off somewhere else, so. Now, would you guys rather see him in the Cruiserweight division or the UK division?
Who?
Zack Sabre Jr. If he were to pop up, which he probably won't.
You've already got Jax Gallagher doing his roots.
You're going to say Jack Sabre Jr.?
Almost did. You've already got him doing pretty much the same type of style, just a little more comedy in 205 Live, so probably better with the UK crowd.
Yeah, same. I think he'd get lost into the Cruiserweight shuffle too much. I think the UK scene gives him a chance to stand out a little bit more.
Plus, they kind of need him a little bit, I think. There's not many people that they're showcasing with this UK crop of people. It's basically Bate, Dunne, Wolfgang, and Seven and Andrews are like the only ones. I'm not really impressed with Wolfgang.
I don't like Wolfgang, to be quite honest. There's a lot of guys they could pick up that weren't even in the tournament, like Dave Mastiff, Rockstar Spud. There's a few people they can go for.
Available? Isn't he still in TNA?
Yeah, he's still 10.
Yeah, but TNA don't have written contracts anymore.
Really?
Hmm.
And also, cost too much money for fucking paper.
Well, what I mean by that is like you can have an open contract where you can go to multiple promotions. Well, they changed all their contracts over from exclusive to open. I think like the only guys that weren't were Bobby Lashley,
Jeff Jarrett, and such.
Mm-hmm.
And also, is he really going to turn down WWE to stay in TNA?
Every once in a while, somebody does. They're, you know, and then you
Yeah,
got
but
like
that's
some
normally
jackass
for
like
like
Del
the
Rio.
higher. It's normally like the higher profile guys that avoid that, like an AJ Styles, where he's going, "You want to pay me like a new guy, but I'm making money like a top guy over here." See ya.
And then a couple years later, he's like, "Yeah, can I please come?"
To be fair, I think they were coming and offering him a bigger deal by that point.
Probably. And thank God they did. So much better now. Same thing with all the people that we've brought in mix.
I did enjoy being proved right.
Going back to the Bate Dunne match, can we talk about the airplane spin that seemed to be going? That seemed it was almost going to have them taking.
Awesome.
They were going to take off in the middle of the ring.
That was the first time an airplane spin could have legitimately been a finish. I've never seen one look as good as that.
I think that could be
4 or 5 of us that at the same time were like, "Holy shit, he's gonna win with this fucking airplane spin!" Like, I didn't remember his finisher being something different. I remember the name of it, but I just couldn't remember what it was. I was just like, "Was that the Tyler finisher fucking thing?" I'm like, "All right,
should be."
Yeah, we've had the Cesaro spin before, but I did not see somebody ever do an airplane spin like that. And I was just kind of like, I'm sold. If he pins them, it makes sense. You're Disney's
You know what was impressive? Motherfucker busted out a spiral tap. Styles' old finisher.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I thought, oh my god, they actually going to have him kick out of AJ Styles' former finisher.
I'll say you this, he did it better than Styles did.
He did the bounce off the ropes better than Kofi.
Yeah, he did.
So it's like, shit. We're making fun of like Tyler Bate, this like,
look at this jackass waving. Oh wait, he's the best wrestler.
And the thing is, these two are younger than most wrestlers in WWE right now, and they seem to be better than most wrestlers in WWE right now.
They've got storytelling down. They've got the technical down. They've got pretty much everything down in ring. The issue is their characters and size.
Even Pete Dunne is really lacking on the character stuff.
Well, he's not going to be the best talker in there, because normally their group that goes around the UK is Trent Seven, Pete Dunne, and Tyler Bate, and Trent's normally the best talker out of those guys. As singles guys, I think they're going to have to just rely on their in-ring work a lot more.
Agreed. Oh yeah. Gonna start angry agreeing. Then we had a little bit of a slump down with the NXT Women's Championship triple threat match. Asuka versus Ruby Riot versus Nikki Cross. Ruby Riot, very popular in the area. Doesn't fucking matter when it comes to the Mega Maniacs because we were all ripping on her the whole time. Yeah, this was decent. It was one of those things where it was hindered a little bit in my mind because it was like, well, of course Asuka's going to win. Like, she's not going to lose to one of those two. That doesn't make any sense. And I don't like Ruby Riot. She's fine in the ring, but I really don't like her look, and I don't like her character, and I don't like really all that much about her. And Nikki Cross is like kind of in the same boat, but I like her look better at the very least. And I kind of wanted Asuka to just was it you, Wago, that said Asuka should just win in 5 minutes?
Yeah, I just wanted to see her dominate and just make her look even stronger before her next opponent.
I kind of wanted the same thing, too. So at the very least, I'm happy that she pinned both of them at the end of the match. So it was just sort of like, yeah, I'm better than both of you. Fuck you. Bring on your next challenger, you know?
This match wasn't bad. It was just so, unimportant. I went off and did other things and paid my attention to other times. So I can't, I caught the beginning and I caught the end. Everything in between was just, couldn't keep my attention.
I think it was very disappointing, actually. I think all the competitors were very sloppy at certain instances. They were missing spots, and their timing seemed to be off on a lot of moments, especially for the finish.
There was one moment that I thought Ruby Riot did a pretty decent thing, where she had her legs up on top of, I think it was Nikki Cross. It might have been Asuka, I don't remember for sure, though. And she sort of slammed them like a reverse hurricanrana into the turnbuckle, and it looked pretty cool. It was like she snapped it pretty well. And I was like, yeah, it's nice. Not nice enough to really write down exactly what had happened, but it's that's fine. Asuka's the show stealer when it comes to this, though. As she should be. I mean, she's the fucking champion. And she's past Goldberg's streak by now, right?
Yeah. I think it's a little overkill to have Asuka pin both of them at the same time. I know she's being positioned as the top star of the division, but it doesn't make anybody else look like they can possibly challenge her. It seems like they're just building up Ember Moon as the only real threat to her at the moment.
What would you guys think if Ember Moon does get all this build up, she loses, and then they have, say, Karma or something come and just beat Asuka?
I'd actually like that. Having Asuka actually have to fight and chase somebody that's better than her for once would be interesting.
I think that Asuka should leave NXT with the title. I don't think she should lose it while she's in NXT. I think she should
I prefer her not to lose it. I agree with that.
I prefer her to vacate it like Paige did when she won the women's title. I think she should just appear on Raw, SmackDown, take that title, and then vacate the NXT one.
The only issue I have with that is there's two things you have to follow that up with, which can get a little bit tricky, where if Asuka goes to the main roster, you kind of have to give her the championship at that point. So you got to make sure that you set it up where she's ready to take whatever the Raw or the women, or the SmackDown women's title. And then what you got to do with the NXT women's champion that follows it up. You'd have to have some kind of a tournament or something to try to make that new woman seem like she's decent, because then it's going to sort of seem like, well, second best kind of thing, you know what I mean? It's like, nobody could beat Asuka, she moved on, now that she's out of there, now we can win it. It's not an impossible task, but it is a little bit of work. Easier to just sort of have X beats Y, and then that's the end of it, you know? They can be lazy every once in a while.
I just think you can make Asuka a big star out of that by pushing her as like she was so much better than anybody that's been through NXT, and then she could start challenging the Four Horsewomen and demonstrating her superiority over them as well. And then eventually someone like Bayley, if she's like booked correctly, could be the one to finally take her down. Have the big baby face take down the Mega Heel.
It's gonna be Carmella. Yeah, that'll happen. Oh, then surprisingly, they had the NXT Championship match next. But after we started, thinking about it for about 10 seconds, we were like, oh, because the tag team matches have always been fucking amazing on these NXT shows, like the past year or so. So it made sense. But Bobby Roode faces Hideo Itami, and of course we had an onslaught of jokes about Hideo Itami being injured. So far, at this point, at 11:10 p.m., he has not been reported as being injured, so that's good. But we might get some kind of notice about that tomorrow based off of his track record. But I liked this match a lot. I thought it was great. I didn't think that Hideo Itami was going to be able to pull it off necessarily. I thought he'd have some ring rust and that it might be just a little bit awkward, but I liked it from start to finish pretty much. What do you guys have to say?
Worst match I've ever seen. No, it was a pretty fun match. Both teams had a great outing. Those big guys, they've won me over. I was really...
You're skipping ahead.
We're talking Rude Itami. We're talking Rude Itami.
Oh, fuck. I thought you were... I heard you talk about the tag match earlier.
You just had a brain fart, didn't you?
Yeah.
Hideo Itami and Bobby Roode. Worst match ever.
That is... actually, it wasn't that good of a match. I enjoyed the entrances. That was about it. It's Hideo Itami I'm really down on just because he's lost so much momentum from all the injuries. And the video package did a good job of displaying that he finally wants to get back to that moment where he's at the pinnacle. Finally capitalizing on all the momentum he had, but it's just not there. Dude fell flat like Sin Cara did.
Sin Cara?
Yeah.
Because he's sinking. He did kind of fall far, far short of his expectations, but he at least is starting to work up a little bit with that. Getting him at least another try, I guess.
Yeah. I thought the match was quite technically sound. It kind of lost my interest in numerous parts. And it was quite obvious from the crowd's reactions that Roode was so much more over than Itami.
That's true. Everybody was rooting for Roode.
Because the dynamic of the match was that Itami was the person who was always being injured and was trying to fight back and show the world that he was truly there, and Roode was the pompous, arrogant, I'm too good for NXT heel, and yet the crowd was completely behind Bobby Roode and didn't give a crap about Itami.
Yeah, you are too good for us. Go get him.
Tommy's like, with your help, I need to be able to get back in the swing of things and fight this guy. And everybody's kind of like, can you not? How about you go fight somebody else? Bobby Roode needs to be our champion still. But I'm the babyface. Yeah, but he's glorious. So can you get injured again? Hopefully he doesn't get injured again, because fuck, this guy's career cannot take another injury like that. He's fired if that happens again.
Oh yeah, I'll show you. Watch this.
If we get a report tomorrow that says something about him being like, oh, he might have aggravated his shoulder or something, he needs to get released at that point.
Yeah, this match was it was good, and I think the finish in particular was very good. Very well built too, with Roode hitting his 2 consecutive glorious DDTs. But it wasn't enough to save Itami's career if he does suffer another injury. Also, fuck the guys that were chanting CM Punk after the GTS.
I'm so sick of the CM Punk chants. That at least has a little bit of, they're in Chicago, it's the GTS, I kind of understand it. But when they start chanting CM Punk and Neville versus Aries, fuck you people, come on. Sick of the crowd. But we did have, I don't know if I'm going to be the only person here that says it, I highly doubt it, but I would say the best match of the night, the ladder match for the NXT Tag Team Championship. You guys on board with that? Best match of the night?
No.
No.
Bate versus Dunne was the best match
Yeah, easily.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
by a mile.
This edges it out just a little bit to me.
Nah.
You're wrong. Yeah.
It's the UK thing. You guys are just, that was a great match. Of course, it's you can pick one of the two, and it's going to be, great. But Wago, you were talking about this a little bit earlier. Pick back up where you left off.
Yeah, this tag match was a good outing for both teams. The big guys have really won me over. I always forget their names. Authors of Pain, right?
Yeah, Akam and Razor.
I remember when they first came in, they were a little bit hit and miss, and I'm just like, oh, these guys look like indie jackasses in their t-shirts. But they've actually pulled it together, and I don't know if it's just the way they've been booked, or if NXT is just working its magic and pumping out another great tag team, but everything worked tonight. They had some great sequences, some great spots, and I don't know if you want to talk about the turn until afterwards.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
All right, so Tommaso Ciampa just looking down at Johnny Gargano's broken body from the table was a fucking awesome visual. And it's rare that... I'm glad that they're treating the tag titles like a world championship, because I think you can make the tag scene a world, like a main event scene. And the fact that they did a big angle with the tag division afterwards, it was just nice and something different. NXT made it so that you could establish women as main eventers, and I'm hoping they can do the same for tag teams.
Well, it's rightful, too, because these tag team matches have been phenomenal for the past, 5 or 6 TakeOver events? We had DIY, Authors of Pain, and then the Revival, DIY and the Revival. We had the Revival and American Alpha. These matches that they've been having have been just amazing. And still in the show every single time. We've put multiple of those in our list for, Match of the Year contenders and stuff. And that's saying a lot. After all the Raws and all the SmackDowns, the 205 Lives, the NXTs, nobody watches main event, but who gives a shit? All the pay-per-views and all that, and it still came out to be we could throw 2 or 3 NXT tag team matches in for Match of the Year. That's a lot. But this one, another great match, and then, like you said, they capped it off at the end with something that was really cool, because I don't know if you guys had caught it. I caught it because I started finishing up my whole thing about, what did you think about the event? Leave the comments below. They put the little graphic bug at the bottom left-hand corner of well, it's the end of the show, before they did the heel turn.
Yeah,
we're all cutting ourselves off there.
I was gonna say I caught it because I started writing down in my notes for this match saying, "Oh, it's gonna be great. Maybe this is the moment that they're gonna appear on Raw and SmackDown and start challenging for the tag titles there." And then Ciampa starts attacking. I was like, "What the fuck?" It was a really good attention to detail.
What was also nice is they actually had this ending to the show once before. I'm trying to remember what it was. They had the very similar ending where they both lost the match, they had the hug, and they went backstage, and it was almost identical. Except this time Ciampa actually turned, so it felt like it was a nod to that, and I don't remember what event they teased that at, but it was just very well done.
Was that their Cruiserweight Classic match?
You know what? It might have been that, yeah.
That does sound kind of familiar, because they did face each other in the first round of that. And that seemed like that could have been a potential for them to turn to heel then. I'm glad also that it's Ciampa that turned heel, because he always seemed like he was more of the heel to me. Every once in a while they make the weird decision where it's sort of let's go with the oddball heel turn and just try it out. But Ciampa has the nickname Psycho Killer. It makes sense, Johnny Gargano's the guy, Johnny Wrestling. People aren't going to be like, Johnny Wrestling, oh, that's the heel right there, the fucking smaller guy. I'm just curious where this goes, because I thought for sure, just like you, Callum, that this was they're going to boost them up to Raw and SmackDown afterward. And I was immediately gunning in my mind, well, that must mean that tomorrow at Backlash, Breezango loses, and DIY comes up and starts challenging the Usos. I was getting ready to type that out as my predictions for the next possible feud. Nope. I'm going to stick around in NXT for a little bit and feud with each other. That's kind of cool.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind if they transitioned the title onto this feud.
Yeah, 100%. I think this should be the match for the title by the next takeover before WrestleMania.
If they take it off of Roode?
Yep. Maybe transition it onto a babyface so that Ciampa can win it, and then Gargano wins it at the takeover before, I guess, takeover New Orleans.
Well, now you can do Johnny Gargano's comeback story. He can beat Tommaso Ciampa to get a title shot. He can beat Roode for the title, and then Ciampa can come for his revenge. There's a million ways you can do it. So, I definitely think it deserves the title. To be honest, you don't need guys like Bobby Roode to be holding the belt. Honestly, he shouldn't be in NXT. He's too good for it.
And with the the viciousness of the heel turn, this has immediately become the biggest feud in NXT. And Bobby Roode, despite his glorious nature and the fact that he is a big star, any of the feuds that you could come up involving him and the title aren't as big as this feud.
It's true. Like, really, people are going to care more about Ciampa and Gargano, or are they going to care about Ono and Roode? It's going to go with the IY.
Also, there's a brilliant...
Ono is just sitting in the crowd with fucking Pat Patterson and Sami Zayn. That was awkward as hell, wasn't that?
I mean, it goes to show you that they don't have anything else for Bobby Roode. When the opponent was Hideo Itami, everybody, I think, all kind of had a big moment when they saw that, based on some of the NXT main events in the past. And shit, even they weren't comfortable enough to put that on last.
Yeah.
There was also a brilliant babyface spot in the match with Gargano taking a huge shot to the chin with a ladder to the face.
Yeah, that was a good shot.
And that was a good way to make it even more sympathetic when Ciampa did turn on him, that he sacrificed himself for Ciampa, and Ciampa still beat the shit out of him after the match.
Yeah, look forward to a week from now where they're cutting promos and he's just kind of like, I took a shot in the face for you. Like, it's going to get real sexual like that. Good old tag team partners, do it yourself.
I was just going to say, looking towards the future as well, because it seems quite clear that Gargano and Ciampa are going into feud, but as opposed to the Authors of Pain, because we've been used to so many great tag team matches, and now they're in a position where there aren't really any tag teams for them to feud with.
Heavy Machinery is next.
It has to be, but they're not going to produce matches at the same caliber as the ones that have been going on at the moment.
I'm out of the NXT loop. Who's Heavy Machinery?
Picture like sort of like two white biggies.
Okay.
That's basically them.
They can't put them back together with TM61?
No, the one of them's injured. The 6, I think. I don't remember which one.
By the way, what's better, TM61 or the Mighty Don't Kneel?
I love the Mighty Don't Kneel as a name.
Yeah, it's like a bit of I prefer that as a name. TM61's just random.
The Mighty Don't Kneel seems to mean more like a catchphrase, but TM61 is such a stupid name. I mean, I don't like hashtag DIY either, but I don't know. I like more of like, we're the Authors of Pain, although I really kind of want them to like...
TM61 seems like part of Scott Steiner's maths equation.
You take my TM61 and you minus your TM48. No, it's one of them. I can't remember if it's Thorne or Miller, but one of them's injured. I think it's Thorne. And he's been injured for a while, so they haven't even had... Yeah, it is Thorne. They haven't even had Miller on NXT at all since then. I guess they're just kind of like, dude, you are worthless without your tag team partner. That sucks.
In my head, immediately we're talking about phone. I'm like, is there a phone in the Paul joke? Is there? Come on. Damn it.
Or Kevin Thorne.
Well, there's
Kevin Thorne in the Paul joke.
There is a vampire on the NXT roster now for what someone was saying.
Yeah, Aleister Black. He's kind of doing a vampire-ish kind of thing. More so a goth who thinks he's a vampire.
Oh, you know about the Tommy End dude?
Yeah, so he's like pulling off a South Park gimmick.
I didn't think that was vampire. That's why. Alright.
He seems to rise off of a coffin for his entrance, doesn't he?
Yeah, with his arms crossed. It's like the old vampire kind of gimmick. I mean, he's not like, dripping blood and shit, but...
I thought he was just an emo douchebag.
Yeah, essentially. They think that they're goths, and they think that they're like these weird-ass supernatural creatures and stuff. So of course he would. And he's got that angry theme. It's just kind of like, I'm better than every fucking body. Seth Rollins understands. Like, you know.
Speaking of douchebags, can we talk about the Velveteen Dream for a minute as well?
Oh, I love Patrick Clark. I love that. That's so great. The Velveteen Dream. It's so stupid. I love it.
This is his Prince knockoff, isn't it?
Yeah. And he's wrestling in the next episode for Wednesday. Not going to spoil exactly what happens, but you can kind of tell what's supposed to happen if he's really kind of re-debuting, sort of.
So basically, Tony just told you that he wins.
Yeah, he he beat some jobber named like Robert Taylor or some bullshit. I don't know.
Man, I had fucking Robert Taylor. I put money on him, motherfucker.
You weren't following the fucking Backlash predictions and stuff. They probably threw that in there too. It's like, don't bet on Robert. It's probably not even his name. His name's probably like Jim Smith, and I'm getting his fucking jobber name wrong too. The Velveteen Dream, Patrick Clark. Next NXT champion. Nah, it's not happening. But yeah, we are disagreeing when it comes to the best match of the night, but I think we're all sort of in agreement about the worst match being the women's one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now, of course, that invites all those comments below. You don't know how to talk about the women's thing. No, I was actually kind of excited to see Asuka kick some ass. Just didn't really want to see her kick Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross's asses.
In fact, normally NXT was the company we'd always talk about having the great women's matches, but
now it's just Alexa Bliss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
I was actually advocating for this match to be the main event just because I think Asuka's a bigger drawing champion than Roode at the moment.
Good fucking job they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Imagine doing the UK match. The strong and young match was pretty good, so it's like you got a good one there. You got a UK one, which is even better. You got a Roode and Itami, which is not as good, but it's still pretty decent. You got Authors of Pain DIY, and that's like, oh my god, another shoot to the moon type of thing, and then it's like, at our main event, and you're like, when does the show end? 10:30? kind of thing. But where would you guys like to see anything coming from here? Are you kind of disappointed that we didn't get something with McIntyre, something with Ono, no Almas, no Black, no... You know, should there be like Bobby Roode versus a specific person in the future? Anything that's like on your mind about what you'd like to see next coming out of NXT? Other than Gargano and Ciampa feuding, because that's awesome.
Yeah, other than seeing them get the title transition to them, there's not too much that I want to see. I guess Asuka continue to book strong. I'd rather her not lose on the main roster, but if it is, it's got to be to that tournament winner. And I'm worried about the Authors of Pain. I don't know who they're going to feud with.
The Big E's.
No, I don't know who they are, so...
Google WWE Heavy Machinery or NXT Heavy Machinery or whatever like that, and tell me what you think about the way that they look, because they are wearing like singlet stuff, and they look so awkward to me.
All right.
Otis Dozovic is one of them, and the other one I think is Tucker Knight.
Dude,
correctly.
You know whose gear they're representing? And Owen Hart's, or at least in the picture I found, yellow and black one.
Yeah, there's some weird. Term?
They look
barrel-chested type of dude?
Yeah, they look like shit. They look like less disgusting but still shit versions of Earthquake and Typhoon.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Even better than my descriptions. Yeah. Although, which one's which?
They're both pretty shit.
I'm thinking Tucker Knight is more the Earthquake.
I think you just have to imagine which one of them would fit into the Shockmaster outfit more.
Now I kind of want to see them come out with that instead.
All right, so yeah, that feud. So yeah, I am worried about Authors of Pain. They're gonna fucking have a bad day.
In terms of Roode's next feud, I have no idea really where they're going to go at the moment. They're probably going to set it up in the next couple of weeks or so. I'd imagine it'll probably end up being McIntyre, but it could so easily be Strong or Black. Depends on... Because I think they're actually fast-tracking Black into the main roster pretty soon.
Doing a little bit of touring with him, hasn't he?
Yeah, because he was on when I went to watch the shows in London recently. He was on main event, so he's touring with the main roster at the moment.
I could probably rule him out. I'm thinking Roderick Strong goes next for Roode. Heavy Machinery against Authors of Pain. Then we get Gargano Ciampa on that next takeover. I don't know about Asuka though. That's if Ember Moon can come back in time, then it's definitely Ember Moon. If not, who the fuck is left with that? You know,
they can always just pull a Mickie James and just bring a diva back from the past. Maybe fucking Victoria or someone.
Victoria would be great. I'd love to see her pop up like that. Last time I saw her pop up was in the Fappening.
And then you popped up.
They beat me to that joke. I was just about to say which, of course, made something else pop up. I think it's a good enough note to end on, right? So, last thing for us to take care of here is just throw out some plugs. Wago, you're up first.
All right, you can follow me on the Twitter at Stephen Wago. Stephen is spelled with a PH. Wago is WAGO. And suck a dick.
Yeah, there you go. Callum?
Find me on Twitter at Wigmeister14 and check out all the articles on Smark Out Moment. Some of which I write.
And for my side of things, obviously, everybody check out whatever is going on smarkoutmoment.com. What you have to do for notifications for that kind of stuff is to get the Facebook and the Twitter account, subscribe to those things there. As far as the YouTube channel, subscribe to that. Hit that little bell icon to get the notifications because sometimes they're just not going to tell you. That actually helps you out a little bit like that. And make sure that you leave your comments below and tell us what you thought of NXT TakeOver Chicago, what you'd like to see in the future, what jokes you can make about the other things that we were making fun of, and so on and so forth like that. But that's going to do us then for the Pay-Per-Viewpoint breakdown of our post-show for NXT TakeOver Chicago. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you next time. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.